What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Opposition Preview. Today, I'm joined by Ian here to look ahead to the Chelsea game. Ian, thank you for joining me. I don't know where to start with Chelsea because you managed to get the players, but looking back at your results, the last two results, during the week, you lost against Tottenham in the Cup, and then before that, in a weekend in the Premier League, you drew 3-3 against West Brom. So how would you sum up your start to the season so far?
Odd. Odd is probably the perfect way to say it. I think it's not the start that Chelsea fans would have wanted. Of course, let's not lie to ourselves. It's not a great start, but we're in a little bit of a unique position. A unique position there. We play Champions League. We come back the same time as everyone else. Although he finished after a lot of teams, 2 weeks after a lot of teams. Minimal pre-season. We had one friendly against Brighton. It's not the ideal scenario at all. Plus, a lot of our players are involved in international duty as well, which, for the likes of Palace yourselves, it's not as much as a big problem. But for Chelsea, when you've pretty much got the full starting 11 and half the bench as well playing in international duty, I mean, they're 2 games behind everyone else before you've even started. So it's been a tough one. It's hard to ignore that. I think the main thing for me, though, a lot of people are making out that we've spent a lot of money and that we should be hitting the ground running. If you take away the Kai Havertz deal, Kai Havertz was 80 million quid, but is for the future, not necessarily for right now. If you take away that, Chelsea has spent a reasonable amount of money. It's only because of the Kai Havertz deal that it's excessive amounts of money. So if you can kind of deal with the fact that he's not going to hit the ground running straight off, granted, we should still be doing better, but I think a lot of players are doing kind of okay where they're at. Probably Ziyech, maybe I'd like to see back fit a little bit sooner, but that is what it is. When he comes into the team, when Pulisic comes into the team, we'll be fine.
Yeah, are you slightly worried about the game on Saturday? You are the favourites going into it. You have got the place, but there is pressure on Frank Lampard. How I see it from the outside, I don't know about you guys, but it'll be interesting to hear your perspective. But surely, when you sign all those big players, I know that you may say that you haven't spent that much because, of course, you had players going out as well. Surely the expectation is to at least aim high, compete for the league, or win a cup. So I know it's only 3 games in, but this is a massive game in terms of, you drew against West Brom, you lost against Tottenham, and if you lose this game or don't get all 3 points, then questions may be asked, and it's crazy because it's only 4 games.
Yeah, I don't think questions will be asked. Okay. I think that we all know that, this is a long-term plan and this is for the future kind of thing. But I think, you are right. This is a big game for us. You've surprised us a few times in the last couple of years, whether it be at home or away. You've got results against us. You're not our bogey team, but you're kind of, for certain teams, they would consider you our bogey team, if that makes sense. Our bogey team was Bournemouth, which is very strange, but there we are. They've gone, thank God. But this is going to be a tough game. This is going to be a really tough game. You go up to Old Trafford, you go and play brilliantly well. I was really impressed by you that day, I must be honest. But your game is wholly about pace, and that's one thing that we do struggle with at the back. I think Chilwell will play, so that will kind of counteract that. But Zuma, he should be ready to go. Thiago Silva's not exactly the fastest, so to have Zuma next to him is great. But Reece James is a very attacking-minded fullback. So at the same time, if you go ahead and we've got to be able to go and get forward, Chilwell's higher up the pitch, Reece James higher up the pitch, Zuma and Thiago Silva are going to be back, probably with Kante as well. But if Chelsea get this wrong, it turns into a very similar game to how it was with Man United, where we're not chasing the game for the whole time, but we're under the quash. So playing this Chelsea style of football that we want to play, we have to take the lead. And obviously, that goes one way or the other. We have to start fast, which we haven't done in the last couple of weeks, and we need to.
Yeah. The only problem that I've had is not really a problem, but I don't know how you guys see it. But what can Frank Lampard do, especially in a West Brom game when you have Marcus Alonso giving away the ball? You got Thiago Silva, he's been a brilliant, footballer throughout his career, having a mistake. There isn't much he can do, and I'm slightly worried because I have seen Chelsea fans question Frank Lampard about the tactics. I don't know where you stand. Do you think it's down to Frank Lampard, or do you think it's down to the individual errors that he can't really do much about?
I think it's a bit of both. I do think it's a bit of both. I'll be honest. I'm not a massive lover of having Azpilicueta play left back. But in hindsight, Marcus Alonso playing left back for the game against West Brom was completely the wrong thing to do. It's the only annoyingly, it's a very annoying situation because obviously we spent a lot of money and the pressure is now high and whatever. But the only way Frank's really going to find his best team is by doing it. That's the best way that he's going to be able to find out. Is he's got to have that little element of trial and error of just, do you play such and such a left back? Do you play such and such a right back? What's your best centre back partnership? And it's going to be one of those weird, annoying things where you do have to play a certain amount of games before you really know what your best choice 11 is. So I don't blame Frank wholeheartedly. Let's be real. The West Brom game, of course, it's a shocking start. It is a shocking start. But those 3 goals that we gave away were all individual errors. Give credit to Frank after half-time. I don't know what he said in that team talk at half-time, but we looked a different team and we brought the pressure onto West Brom. And obviously we got the 3 goals back. The fact of the matter is the individual errors put us 3 goals down in the first place. If we were 2 goals down, then a big comeback from Chelsea is a winner. So I'm not going to blame Frank too much. Not yet. Not at all.
Yeah, I think it's the early days, and the only problem with football nowadays is that expectations are high immediately. You have to go and get the results because you got Werner and Havertz. But talking about some of your new signings, is there anyone that Palace should be worried about going into this game? I've seen people question Havertz already. Is crazy because he's only played 2 or 3 games, but he's a top footballer, and you got Werner there. Who should Palace watch out for?
I think Werner's the one. It depends on where they play him. But for me, Werner would be the one that I would say to watch out for. Don't think Ziyech is going to be back, so that's him out of the equation. Kai Havertz is still finding his feet, but with Werner's goal in midweek, he found himself in a nice little space, and it was more of a half chance. But the fact he could just take it out of his feet and bang, I mean, that's really what kind of Palace have got to watch out for, I think. Having said that, he also did have one that if he gets it straight out from under his feet and hits it, then Chelsea are 2-0 up, and that's game done and dusted. So there's just like little moments with Werner. And I think after a while it's going to click, and I think hopefully, touch wood, the goal in midweek is going to start to kind of put him on that track to score a lot of goals. So I think, it's probably the obvious answer, but I think probably Werner would be the one to look out for.
Yeah, we talked about a West Brom game, but how should Palace approach this game in order to get a result, do you think? Do we go and pressure Chelsea? Do we sit back and hit them on a counter-attack, which is what we're good at? What do you think we should do?
I think it'd be a bit of both, honestly. I do. Chelsea unfortunately invite a lot of pressure onto ourselves, and I think a lot of teams will make the most of that. Liverpool certainly did when they played against us. Obviously, that's a different kettle of fish. I mean, they're the best team in the country currently. So I think that'll be a tough one to gauge when you do go and attack us and when you do actually just sit back and counter. It's gonna be a really tough one. I think for me, if I'm manager of Palace, if I'm Roy Hodgson, I'm pushing them nice and high really early on in the game. You're not going to be. I don't think you're allowed to have Batshuayi this weekend because, of course, he's ours. So you kind of got to be a little bit more kind of protective of that. But you've got, Eze, the new guy. You've got, of course, got Sahar. Ayew's a bit of a strange one. I don't kind of know what his role is, but I mean, he's a good footballer. He gets involved, gets goals. So I think if you press us high early doors, and again, as I said, if we go behind, Chelsea have got a real mountain to climb. So I think if you press us high early doors, and even if you do go behind, you've still got the ability to kind of come back into the game. So I think it's going to be a lot of kind of press early doors and then try and absorb the pressure, very similar to what you did against Man United.
Yeah, just looking at the Palace side, it's interesting to hear the opposition's perspective on this team. We've got Roy Hodgson as our manager. We signed Eze. We've, of course, got Zaha there. What do you make of Palace's squad and what we can potentially achieve this season? Personally, even though we've had a good start, my expectations are not changing. I would be happy if we stay up until we get a new manager, because Roy Hodgson has changed about this season, but he's not really a man throughout the season when things go wrong to change about and implement a new system. So it's been a good start. without a doubt. I can't blame him for that. But what do you think in terms of Palace's opportunities this season?
I think it's a bit of a strange one with Palace. I remember watching, I can't remember who it was now. It's one of the Sky pundits say a little while ago that Palace and the squad that they've got deserve to be and should really be a lot higher up the table than they actually are. They should be almost looking to kind of push towards European places. But they've struggled to do it in the last few years. And it's interesting you saying actually about staying up. It's a little bit of a kind of, it was a shock to me actually that you say that, because I think the expectations of Palace should be higher. I understand what you're saying about Roy Hodgson. He's a bit bread and butter. I understand it. I do like him. He wasn't the right man for the England job, and of course, a lot of people, slag him off for it, unfortunately. But he does know what he's doing. He does know how to win games. He does know how to stay in the league. I just think you've got a really big ask with your squad currently, because you've got the firepower going forward. But there's always this constant, what we're going to do with Wilfried Zaha. Is he going to go? Is he not? And I don't think that helps your squad at all. I would keep him. I would definitely keep him. But a player of his kind of ability and it's almost how marketable he is, really. He should be playing at a bigger club. With like Yannick Bolasie, I mean, that was a good example. He went, obviously, I think, did he go after Everton? I think it was. Did he move on?
Yeah, he went Everton from Palace.
Yeah,
I think that was the best business that we've done. The fact that we got 30 million, near enough 30 million for him.
Never really hit the ground running. And I kind of see not a similar thing happening to Zaha, but I see a potential similar thing happening to Zaha. And I think you kind of got to bite the bullet at some point and go, actually, we should probably sell up while we can. Now you could probably expect to get 50 million quid for him, something like that, which I think you guys would probably take if it was to the right team. But I think defensively, I mean, Van Aanholt's out for you. I absolutely love the guy. He was brilliant when he was at Chelsea. I couldn't believe we let him go, honestly, many years ago now. But I loved him. I think he's a quality player. Gary Cahill, is he out injured? Not ready yet?
Yeah, Gary Cahill's still out injured yet.
Yeah, I mean, good player, great leader. But I do just look at your squad and I just think there's a slight hole there. But this is the thing. If you want to do it all season long, you're going to struggle. But if you can do it in the big important games, the ones that really matter, are you expecting to go and get anything out of Man City and Liverpool? Probably not. But if you can do it against maybe Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, then you pick up, maybe 6, 7, 8 points more than you may have hoped for, kind of thing. And that's where I think you'll really push on. You've got a lot of individuals, and again, some of them work quite nicely together. But I think to really push on and be where you should be, which is around about the Europa League spots, you've got a long way to go, which is unfortunate actually, because Palace are now almost Premier League kind of regulars. You know what you're going to get. They're always going to be there. They're always going to give people decent games. You've upset us. You've upset Liverpool. In years gone by, Arsenal and others as well spring to mind. You should be kind of a bit higher up than you actually are. But I think for this year, you'll be around about the same mark. You'll survive, but I think you should probably be looking at around about mid-table higher, if that's my personal point of view.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but it's just, as Roy Hodgson as manager, I don't want to go and slate the man because he's done absolute brilliance in the last couple of games. However, when you're just thinking about the long-term future, I don't know if we can be that type of club under him because of the style of football that we play. We're brilliant defensively, and the one thing that's been good so far is that on the counter-attack last season, we weren't as effective as we are this season. So even against Chelsea, I'm more confident than I would have been last season, even though last season we were actually at a certain point competing to be in Europa League positions, and then we managed to lose 7 games in a row. But that's just typical Palace right there, and Roy Hodgson not changing his tactics. But finally, what is your lineup and score predictions for the game?
For Chelsea point of view?
Yeah.
Mendy's got to play in goal. The new keeper, he's got to play in goal for me. Right back, I would probably go Reece James. I'd probably go Zuma, Thiago Silva, and then Ben Chilwell playing left back. Probably go for Kovacic and Kante playing as a defensive midfield too. Probably then Kai Havertz playing as a number 10. Mount's been great for us, but I think he's knackered and probably deserves a rest. So I'll probably play him on the bench. I'm hearing rumours that Pulisic is back. If that's the case, then I'd love to see him play on the left-hand side. Probably Callum Hudson-Odoi, give him another chance on the right-hand side. It's very make or break for him at the moment. So I think give him a chance and see what he can do, and then play Werner up top. If he decides not to play Callum Hudson-Odoi, then it'll be Werner on the left-hand side, maybe Pulisic on the right, and then probably Olivier Giroud or maybe Tammy up top, I think. It's going to be a 4-2-3-1, definitely. I know that.
Your score prediction? No, be honest. It's fine. It's fine.
No, I think we can beat you, but I don't think it's going to be as simple as we might like. Because again, as you said, we are definitely the favourites for this. You're kind of not expecting a win, or definitely, but it's going to be one of those really tight games. I think either team wins 2-1, but of course I'm going to back Chelsea. Of course I am.
Yeah, Chelsea 2-1. That's fine. I'm going with, I don't know. I feel more confident after the handball rules have changed, because I was expecting one of them dodgy handballs to be given, but they managed to change it for this weekend. I don't know. I might go with 2-1 as well with Palace, because I feel like we're good on a counter attack. It depends if Jeffrey Schlupp is fit. It sounds crazy because he's not the most exciting player, you'd think, but he's so effective in Roy Hodgson's system. So if he's fit, I feel like we could score goals and we can hit Chelsea on a counter attack, because you do have mistakes in your side. But it depends. Have the players sorted out? Haven't they sorted out? I guess only time will tell. But 2-1 for both sides. Leave down your comments down below. Let us know what you guys think of the game, and also your score predictions. Do you think that Palace could get a result? Make sure to check out Ian's channel, Craigo28 Football, and let the best team win.